Today we're going over the new 9.6 refines in Fire Emblem Heroes. We have 5 new weapons for Pelleas, Valentian, Palla, new is Velouria, and Shu must not be named. We'll go over everyone's new skills and discuss some build ideas. Pelleas is a classic Red Grand Hero battle mage. He has the usual high attack, but he's not that focused on resistance. Instead, he goes for a little more speed. Pelleas gets a new weapon called Vision of Daein. Every turn, if within 2 spaces of an ally, Pelleas grants plus 6 stack and res, red type cooldown, and the warp status to himself and those allies. If within 3 spaces of an ally for combat, then Pelleas gets plus 5 to all stats, he neutralizes his attack and speed debuffs, and he makes a free follow-up attack. So far, a simple buffing weapon with a free follow-up, cooldown, and warping are good for just about any team. For the refined part, if within 3 spaces of an ally, Pelleas gets another plus 5 stats, he deals true damage equal to 15% attack, he heals 7 HP on hit, and last he will have the miracle effect to survive a fatal blow. For the most part, Pelleas is a simple offensive mage with some cooldown, true damage, and warping. He then got a good old miracle. Simple, but if the enemy cannot double tap Pelleas, then he will survive to fight another day. For builds, you can treat Miracle as Pelleas' defensive strategy. Obviously risky, but it's an annoying effect, and without Fatal Smoke 4, you need to double tap him. If you want to go this route, you can try to get no follow-up. We don't want to let slower foes use their follow-up skills, and Pelleas can just build full attack and speed. You can get no follow-up from a lot of sources. In the A slot, there's perfect attack and speed. Magic no follow in the B slot. You can also attack on DR Piercing. From the C slot, Oddspeed Wave 4 can add speed buffs to Pelleas' support. Last, you can always use the Sacred Seal. For more damage, Resonance can work since Pelleas does have decent base HP. You can go with Occultist's Strike as well. Finish skills are good since Pelleas needs to be within 2 spaces of an ally anyway. To charge a 3 cooldown special, you could add in Time's Pulse. Image of Pulse 4 works for added team cooldown support too. For other skills, Pelleas can mess around with Close Counter. You could try to set up the Miracle special with Lagu's Friend, but I don't know if that's worth it. There's a lot of brave hits going around, and unless you got a lot of stats, Pelleas is just going to get 2-tapped by those. Again, Miracle is not really the most consistent game plan, it's just annoying. Speaking of annoying, I don't know if it's pure coincidence, but Legendary Black Knight brings 2 amazing perks for Pelleas. Imbue will heal Pelleas each fight to re-trigger Miracle. Reflex can give damage reflection, which does work off Miracle. Any damage that would have overkilled Pelleas will get reflected back. For alternate playstyle, you can try to build Pelleas with a pure res focus. You can use the res focus mage builds like Havoc, Discord, Pulse Deploy, etc. It's not the worst option, but Pelleas is starting out a good bit behind in terms of base resistance. Overall, Pelleas isn't flashy, but Miracle's pretty good to have, especially for a Grail refine. With that new reflex status, you can do some funny things. Our next refine is for another red mage, this time it's Urk. He's similar to Pelleas, though less attack with more speed. Urk gets the new General to Be tome. At start of turn, if within 2 spaces of an ally, Urk grants plus 6 stack and speed, and no follow-up to himself and those allies. In addition, Urk grants Treachery and Kanto 1 to himself plus mages and healers within 2 spaces. If initiating combat or near an ally, Urk gets plus 5 total stats and 50% DR Piercing. Good lord. Treachery is one of the rarest statuses to get, so a demote getting access to it as a team buff is quite fun. It will be limited to mages and healers though, but true damage equal to your total field buffs is really good. Urk handing out Kanto as well is just incredible. For all allies, Urk will also give plus 6 stack and speed with no follow-up. A reminder that this is just from the base weapon. You don't even need to refine General to Be to get a really fun support option. Urk getting 50% DR Piercing is kinda just a cherry on top. Now for the refine, if initiating or near an ally, Urk inflicts 7 instant damage as combat begins. He gets plus 5 stats, low speed and res, and true damage equal to 20% speed. I wouldn't call him a tank, but Urk will also have 7 flat damage reduction. Last, after initiating, Urk would deploy Divine Bane Flame Tiles on the 5 spaces in a line from where he attacked. General to Be is an absolutely stacked weapon for a demote. Treachery, Kanto, and the follow-up support. Urk gets 50% DR Piercing, more true damage, and essentially the flared A skill effect. With Kanto 1, Urk can lay down Flame Terrain and retreat. He can also use the Flared Strike combo for 14 instant damage. Breath of Life has kinda hampered down instant damage, but it's still a really good general ability. If you do use Occultist's Strike, that's a 3rd true damage source for Urk. With something like Slice Swift Sparrow, you can get another 5 true damage. Finish skill is another option. Try to get Defense and Res field buffs to stack Treachery true damage up as well. You can use Defense and Res Oath or Pledge. While Urk does have a decent amount of firepower, unlike Pelleas, he doesn't have a good way to survive counterattacks. Plus in Defense and Res with 7 flat DR is nice, but that's not saving the 19 base defense mage. You can use Desperation 4 since Urk brings no follow-up. For a cheap skill, you can also just go with Winter Water Sweep. To combo with the Flame Tiles, you can have Urk attack, lay it on fire, use something like Savage Blow or Poison Strike, and then counter retreat. He's not going to be retreating very far, but Urk could just annoy and wear down a less mobile team. If you want to make the damage stick, you can also use Veil Smoke. For other skills, Urk can use Flash Sparrow or just Flashing Blade. If you want Times Pulse with a cooldown skill, you can proc Flare or Luna. Urk could use Tempo for no guard. If you want Tempo 4 or Echo, you can stack up to 75% DR Piercing. You can do the same with Resonance, and Urk will max out that skill since his base HP is actually quite high. For more support options, you could also use his high HP for Infantry Pulse 4. Overall, Urk gets an incredibly fun new weapon, and Refine, Treachery is not easy to get, although it can be countered by low effects. The Flared A skill is an interesting perk for an Infantry Mage, and Urk even gets Kanto as well. Dude really just wants a horse or something. Now, you're gonna need to find a way to keep Urk safe, but this is certainly a solid weapon for a D-mode. For an older 5-star Refine, we have Shadows of Valentia Palla. This Palla is a rare, high defense Pegasus Knight with low speed and good attack. She's got some nice upgrades. Ladyblade is an 11 weight dual phase Brave Sword. It comes with Kanto 2 and grants +5 attack, defense and res while inflicting -5 speed. This weapon has adaptive damage, which calculates damage using the lower of the foe's defense and res. Last, Palla now deals true damage equal to 20% of her pretty good defense stat. Basically, Ladyblade gets +5 stats and true damage added to the base effect. For the refined part, for every turn within 2 spaces of an ally, Palla grants +6 attack and defense and debuff neutralization to those allies plus herself. If those allies are flyers, Palla will also tack on +1 movement. For combat, if within 3 spaces of an ally, Palla gets bonus attack, defense, and res equal to 5 plus 10% of her flat defense stat. She has flat damage reduction equal to 20% defense in combat, and last, Palla heals 7 HP after combat. This Palla gets some good upgrades with +1 movement to flyers and the ever useful debuff neutralization for everyone. Palla stacks more attack and defense along with defense scaling true damage and flat DR. She gets some bonus resistance too, which is nice. Something to keep in mind, even though Palla gets 3 movement now, she has to be within 3 spaces of an ally to get the last part of her refine. If you're next to an ally and you move 3 spaces away to initiate, Palla isn't getting those effects, which is a bit unfortunate. If you play around this with good teammate positioning, Palla can put together a pretty nice player phase setup. You got a lot of options, but the Haze Slice and Excel combo is quite hard to beat. Percent DR plus flat DR for protection, and this affects all hits, which is good since Palla may end up getting doubled. Sadly, Haze Slice's percent DR is player phase only. You could try the new Ice Wall, but charging it up and needing to build more resistance might be an issue. Now to add to the survivability, Momentum can give instant cooldown and a free follow-up with true damage. Palla can make use of the new +1 movement to get the -2 instant cooldown part. With Haze Slice, this actually will trigger the special immediately. For other specials like No Quarter, Palla could proc it on her second Brave hit. If you have extra cooldown from say Heavy Blade, then you might be able to proc 4 cooldown specials as well. For her C-skill, Deadly Miasma offers buff neutralization, which will complement Palla's debuff neutralization. The -5 general stats are good since Palla has adaptive damage. There are many other ways to go about building Palla. You can find player phase follow-up skills on Sly Sturdy Blow, Brash Assault 4, or for mixed phase follow-ups you can use Attack and Res Crux. Palla has Attack and Res Rain, and adaptive damage lets her use that res debuffing version. Now Crux will be good if you want to play more defensively. Instead of the initiation skills like Haze Slice, you could opt for things like Gambit or Reopening. Palla can utilize Distant Counter with her adaptive damage Brave hits, and if you need someone to tank archers, you could slot in Iwood Shield. If you want DR Piercing and you don't want to use No Quarter, there is Potent Assault. Because Palla has debuff neutralization, Potent Assault is better than Assault Force. Both skills come with true damage and DR Piercing, but you may as well get the chance for a potent hit on other slower enemies. With the Haze Slice and Excel combo, Potent Assault with Crux is another offensive setup, potential quad attacks, and that extra potent hit. Just to circle back around to Momentum, since Ladyblade has adaptive damage and its true damage affects AoE specials, Palla could run those if you have a heavy cooldown focused team setup. Momentum could pre-charge the AoE and Palla gets those nice bonuses for all targets hit. She can then finish the job with her brave attacks. Get in and get out with Kanto, sounds like a fun time. All in all, Valentian Palla got a decent refine, nothing too insane, but her weapon was already not that bad, and we have a lot of new skills to work with. Brave attacks are still great, Kanto's nice, and adaptive damage never hurt. Even though it's only for flyers, movement buffs are always strong too. Next, we have one of the most controversial units in FEH history. Fallen Edelgard was a powerhouse in a time where many units could not get past her basic 40% damage reduction and sky high stats. If you let her come to you, she got an extra action, which usually meant a bonfire second attack was incoming. This unit was so strong, she was banned from showing up in random PvE modes, and she was voted into a Hero Rises 2 years in a row. The second year was after another Edelgard already existed. Fallen Edelgard has escaped being tossed into the Refine jail, but at what cost? For her Refine, Twin-Crest power keeps its base effects. Slaying, plus if above 25% HP, she inflicts -6 attack and defense, she has Wary Fighter, and gets an extra action after initiating if transformed. New to the weapon, Edelgard neutralizes attack and defense debuffs and gives true damage equal to 20% defense. So far, nothing too crazy. For the actual Refine part, every turn if above 25% health, Edelgard inflicts -7 attack and defense, panic and exposure onto the closest foe and foes within 2 spaces. If above 25% HP, Edelgard inflicts attack and defense debuffs equal to 6, plus the number of foes within 3 rows or columns times 2. If there are 3 enemies in range, she inflicts a max -12 attack and defense. Last, Edelgard gets flat damage reduction equal to 20% of her defense stat. To be frank, Fallen Edelgard isn't going to be dominating like ye olden days. This Refine gives a nice amount of attack and defense debuffs along with panic and debuff neutralization. The 20% defense is true damage and flat DR is also good, but these are all pretty standard things. Unlike say her recent Valentian's ult, which is just flying around all over the place and gets Kanto, they didn't really lean into Fallen Edelgard's extra action for initiations. To be fair, what made this Edelgard so annoying was her built-in distant counter if transformed. With her unique B skill, she had Special Fighter to charge a bonfire, and that's where her damage reduction came from as well. With her superior stats, Fallen 80 was just a threat on either phase. Unfortunately, I don't think Armored Wall has held up that well these days. We've got a Special Fighter Sacred Seal, plus if you want % DR, everyone's been going for unpierceable % DR instead. I think Edelgard makes an interesting case for the brand new Counter Fighter B skill. For one, it doesn't have a follow-up in the first place, and 2, it adds more true damage, flat DR, and healing. If Edelgard attacks, she won't charge her special, which we can upgrade to Sturdy Beast. If she doesn't get the kill, Counter Fighter will charge the 40% DR special before getting hit. We stack that with our flat DR sources. If Edelgard can survive, her extra action kicks in, and then she can attack with the special then. This skill will actually work for mixed phasing, since 80 can counter with Sturdy Beast if she gets hit first. If you want distant counter, Edelgard will need to transform. You can use the Fortune A skills or Beast Sacred Seal. You can also use C skills like Fatal Smoke when initiating, but that's only if you aren't using Armored Stride or March. Unfortunately, the other Edelgards lock this one out from using Assault Troop and Assault Rush. If you don't want to rely on movement skills, then you can use Emblem Celica's Ring. There is also the cheeky Mercy Wing Echo if you can get rid of Edelgard's B skill. For a proper mixed phase setup, you can run Savior skills. Counterfighter is meant to synergize with Twin Save's effect. Savior isn't really a bad option for this Edelgard, it's just boring. For other tanky methods, you can go with Shield Fighter or Weaving Fighter for % DR sources. If you want to use the fighter's skills with the follow-up attacks, you could stack 2 free follow-ups, for example, Assault Fighter with Wily Fighter or Bolt Fighter as a seal. For really silly option, Bestial Assault can give true damage, 50% TR piercing, and Kanto. I mean, that is something that would be kind of fun for this Edelgard. Overall though, Fallen Edelgard may have escaped the clutches of the Refined Gel, but I don't think she's going to be super oppressive like in her heyday. There have been new scary armors nearly every other week this year. If you do think Fallen Edelgard is back though, well, I guess you can vote for her in a Hero Rises 2026. Our last Refine is going to go to New Year's Velouria. She's a faster blue beast infantry, and Velouria has always had cooldown related support. This time though, she's found something real good. Renewed Fang is one of the last weapons to get updated to the Modern Infantry Beast Transformation bonus. Velouria will now get +7 true damage on special triggers, and then full tempo when transformed. This weapon has undergone some serious changes. For certain target allies within 3 spaces, Velouria grants them +5 attack, speed and defense, breath type cooldown, -2 instant cooldown before getting attacked, and last they get DR piercing specials. The target ally is going to be Velouria's support partner, but if they're not on the team, she will instead buff the highest defense ally. For herself, Velouria gets accelerated specials. She inflicts -6 attack and speed, and -5 defense on the foe. She then has the same effects as her support effect, breath type cooldown, with Lagu's friend type cooldown, and DR piercing specials. Renewed Fang went from just breath type cooldown support to almost full-on Lagu's friend support. The key differences are that Velouria doesn't require any 3 cooldown special restrictions. In exchange though, you're going to lose the true damage and flat DR effects. Velouria also doesn't give DR piercing to the counterattack after defensive specials trigger. If you want godlike reflexes or miracle to pierce damage reduction, you're gonna have to use the actual Lagu's friend skill. Regardless, this is an insane upgrade. We've had similar effects, but the full -2 cooldown and DR piercing specials together are new, I'm pretty sure. Velouria will even tack on her breath type cooldown from before, which means you can actually get 4 cooldown if the enemy hits you without guard or tempo. Now for the actual refined part, if above 25% HP, Velouria inflicts attack, speed, and defense debuffs equal to 5 plus the number of foes within 3 rows or columns, times 2. If there are 3 foes in that range, she can inflict -11 debuffs. In addition, Velouria has low attack and speed, and she gets true damage and flat DR equal to 20% speed. Pure combat perks this time, lots of stats, buff neutralization, and good old true damage with flat damage reduction. Focusing on just Velouria herself, she will now be an excellent Nimble Beast user. With Slaying and her new Lagu's friend cooldown, Velouria will charge Nimble Beast before getting hit. This activates the 40% DR effect, and she has some flat DR to pair with it. Infantry Beasts can get away without transforming, but it's still nice for the extra true damage. If you do get one of the rest upgrades, you can get Nimble Beast with attack and speed fortune for easier transformations. Now if you have spare Elms, he has Nimble Beast with Bestial Agility. This gives no follow-up, true damage, and Conto, which is nice. Elm also had Preempt Screech, which had the good feud effect. It also has Preempt Pulse's -1 instant cooldown, which is not that bad for cancelling out a scout effect. Now if you want to get a little silly, you can instead run Pulse on Blades from Attuned Elm. This gives -2 instant cooldown on a follow-up attack. Basically, if she gets attacked first, Velouria can charge Nimble Beast, then counter with it. Pulse on will then charge it again for a second activation if she doubles. These are some premium skills, so a more common option is just good old Finish 4, +5 true damage to stack with Renewed Fang, and you can run the tier 3 Sacred Seal for another +5. If you got the new Larse, you could throw in the new Potent Finish. Honestly, I think that's a really good skill for this Velouria. 7 flat DR, 7 HP on hit healing, and that sweet Potent follow-up. If specials are ready, this skill adds 15 true damage. That is quite a lot if you stack all these things together. For other fun stuff, Velouria came with Distant Counter, so you can just upgrade to the bonus doubler version. You can use the Sacred Seal or Echo Distant Counter, and No See Disrupt would be good too. If you need no follow-up, you can use Perfect Attack and Speed, the B skill, or the Sacred Seal. There is also Infantry No Follow 4 or Oddspeed Wave 4. These can buff the team as well to go along with the refined crazy support. To further lean into supportive builds, Velouria could run a Link B skill or a Rally plus Ruse combo, pair these with Drive or Spur C skills and Sacred Seals. If you want to stifle movement, Velouria has access to Spiked Wall or Bulwark's Super Obstruct, Barricade as Warp Bubble with extra stat supports. You then have Conto Control. If you want even more cooldown support, Velouria could use Infantry Pulse. Just to comment on some other specials Velouria can use herself, she can charge Aether when she gets hit thanks to the Slaying, Breath type cooldown, and the -2 instant cooldown from Lagu's friend. Technically, you could run Lagu's Loyalty for Miracle Precharging. That is something to consider. I would say Nimble Beast probably is better for this Velouria. It would go very well with the Fallen Lear's 20% DR and No See Disrupt status. You can combo that with Velouria's Lagu's friend support, and you can create a very nice tanking setup, at least for one ally. In general, New Year's Velouria opens some interesting doors for special setups, especially units with slaying weapons. If you want that Lagu's friend cooldown and your piercing specials, then this is a pretty top tier refine. That's all I got for this video. All kinds of surprises in this batch. Miracle Pelleas, Palla gets some nice upgrades, and someone on the dev team definitely likes Urk a lot. Fallen Edelgard managed to get a refine, but it doesn't seem like it'll make her a top dog like back in the day. It's not bad, just not that crazy or what you'd expect from one of the most dominating units in FEH's lifespan. As for New Year's Velouria, super fun support buffs and decent combat perks too. Definitely one of those refines you can experiment with all kinds of various units, teams, and builds. Let me know your thoughts on these refines and have fun with the new upgrades. Thank you for watching, and I will be back to talk about the new Awakening banner. See you in the next video.